Let's drink some beer. This is all just a desperate cry for attention. Oh God, we're sucking right now.
I want to be able to grow more dicks. Dude, this is consensual.
I am Frank.
Dude, yeah, psychic powers like Grace. We're here. We're doing it. We're doing it again. Week after week.
We're here. We're still making this.
We're still making it.
No one's listening, but who cares?
Look, we're not doing this to be cool or popular. We're doing this for the art. So probably like myself, you started playing guitar as like an adaptive mating strategy.
Of course,
Yeah, it was a good route.
Everyone did.
Good option to catch some tail. But as you probably got better, you realize that doing it to get laid is like super fucking lame, and it's never gonna get you laid. And
Of course.
you gotta do it for the fucking art, and if the art is good, the pussy will follow.
True. As Bob Dylan once said, anything a man does, has ever done, or ever will do is for a woman. And there might be some truth to that.
That's such a poetic way to phrase we're doing this podcast for the pussy. Welcome back, faithful listeners, all like 10, 25, 30, however many of you there are. YouTube metrics don't make it totally clear to my...
I don't care about the ones who make it to this point. I want to see how many get to the end.
You're right. We're just in the foreplay of the podcast. We have not even inserted. We are nowhere near the climax.
You don't have my respect yet. You have to earn my respect. You have to suffer just like we suffered.
And respect must be earned. It's the only way to get it. You don't get respect any other fucking way.
You can't command the people's respect. But in this case, I do urge you.
Please respect us. But for real, everybody like, subscribe, and maybe comment. It's a minimal amount of effort. We're doing this pro bono. We don't have any fucking ads. 0 ads that you have to listen to.
This is premium
right
content.
now. I mean, don't get it wrong. We'll sell out as soon as it's viable. But for now, premium content at the expense of Braden and I. We put the effort in week after week. We drink the beers. We watch the movies, and we spend the effort it takes to set up to record.
It's a lot of effort to watch a whole movie and sit down for that long.
Dude, yeah, this is like a 5-hour commitment.
And we're open for beer sponsorships. I think that should be the next short-term goal.
Yeah, we don't even need to get paid cash money. Just give us some of your sweet alcoholic nectar.
The beer cost $13.
Yeah, I mean we're $13 in the hole minimum for every podcast. That doesn't include anything
else.
Yeah.
All the bottled water, everything.
The bottled water, the catered luncheons. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, guys, and we're doing it out of our own pocket for your benefit right now.
The intern, he's not working for free. We throw him a few dollars.
Is that what you think? All right, well, welcome back to Far Out Flicks, episode 5.
Is this the 5th one?
Number 5.
All right.
This week we're doing a movie that it is perhaps slightly less, I don't know, it depends on your perspective of things, but slightly less heady than some of our other films, but far out nonetheless.
It's far out. This movie's fucked up. Jacob's Ladder.
As always, we encourage you, the listener, to have seen the film prior to listening to our podcast, or it's going to be spoilers. If you don't like spoilers, you should pause, watch the film, and come join us. It's like drinking beers with your buddies and talking about sweet fucking movies.
Or if you're never going to watch it, just enjoy. We're going to tell you everything that you missed.
Again, I like spoilers. I have no issue with spoilers to an extent. I mean, I don't know. It depends on the film. But most of the time, I read the Wikipedia page.
Hell yeah, because there's so many movies and so little time.
Yeah, I mean, you're working 9 to 5. You're busy, And
Probably most of you don't have jobs, but it's okay.
well, for those of you, the working folks out there, I understand your plight. There's a limited number of hours in the day. You can't watch it all. Sometimes a 4 or 5 paragraph Wikipedia
Everything I watch is highly vetted. Highly vetted. I fucking check
vetted by Google.
Vetted by Google. I mean, whatever their algorithm just feeds me, I'm just mindless and just accept it.
That's how you're supposed to be.
You're
winning at consumerism.
I will say this, maybe this is a good time to talk about this, but as far as like movie critics and things like that, I have a few trusted ones. You know what I mean?
Who's your go-to?
Generally, I do agree with Ebert.
Yeah, Ebert's seldom wrong.
I mean, he's famous.
Was
a
seldom
famous
wrong. R.I.P.
movie critic for a reason.
Sure.
There have been a few times where I like strongly disagree, where he may have missed
he
the mark.
strongly panned the Pokemon film.
Oh yeah, never do that. That's
Yeah,
a modern. That is a modern mythology that people will be living by for millennia.
He was old. He didn't get it. You know, whatever. But yeah, he panned the fuck out of that, and a few other favorite films of mine. Ebert didn't agree with so much.
He's harsh. That's what. But when and also he likes kind of weird ones you have to think about.
In preparation for this episode, I was watching some YouTube videos, and just kind of like on the tail end of the night, it rolled into an old Roger Ebert film segment of him reviewing like the worst films of like '93 or something like that.
Yep.
And sharp-witted he was, absolutely.
No, he's good. He's good. But anyway, my point was, I do value. You know, if you got a guy you trust, you know, most of my films come to me through word of mouth or from someone I trust. If you find a good film critic that you like, they can steer you in the right direction.
More often than not.
But you should not just look at Rotten Tomatoes and use that as the sole basis of whether you're going to watch a movie or not.
No,
give it a chance.
I think the thermometer is like fairly accurate.
It's fairly accurate.
I mean, if a movie's like absolute dog shit, it's definitely gonna.
And I kind of do agree with that way of ranking the films, good or bad.
Okay, yeah, sure.
You know, that's how they do it. That's how they come up with that score. 88% of critics gave it a thumbs up, not a thumbs down.
But viewer ratings are important too. What is the common man enjoying?
Exactly. Dumb it down a notch. And that's where you get the real rating. Right?
Yeah. Correct. So anyways, Jacob's Ladder. Braden, why don't you start us off? Break it down from a fundamental standpoint.
Jacob's Ladder is a 1990 American horror film, and it was directed by Adrian Lyne and written by Bruce Joel Rubin. And Bruce Joel Rubin was kind of a nutty guy. He wrote several films, and they all deal with the afterlife in some way, or some kind of metaphysical allegory or whatever. And this dude, he lived in a monastery in Nepal for 2 years.
So that explains
before writing this. And another movie he did was Ghost. He wrote Ghost.
He wrote
Ghost.
For those of you
Much
who don't
different.
know, very, very different film. Ghost, very famous, if you don't know anything else, the pop cultural scene with the pottery wheel, and Patrick Dempsey.
Not Patrick Dempsey.
He's not Patrick Swayze. Fuck my life. You're right, Patrick Swayze. I suck. And is it Demi Moore?
I believe so.
You know, guiding Demi Moore's hand sensually as she throws pottery, which is really fucking hard to do. Like, a ghost isn't going to make you good at throwing pottery.
Like, why does it feel so good to watch that scene? Is there something... Like, does it...
Throwing pottery, like, from a tactile... I did some pottery at one point, and from, like, a tactile perspective, it's, like, very enjoyable. There's tons of benefits for seniors doing it.
Makes sense. I took a pottery class at App, actually.
Yeah, same one as me. Same Professor Eric.
With the old man who would kind of, like, hit on the girls.
Dude, he like kind of. I felt like he kind of hit on everybody.
Yeah, he was hitting on people. He was real in touch with his emotions.
Yes, but he was a great professor and an all-around great guy. And
Great guy. We're not trying to cancel Eric.
No, fuck no. Eric is the man. He had me do some yard work and a swimsuit for extra credit once. That's a totally salacious claim. He didn't make me do that. I did do some yard work for extra credit. But
Oh, yeah,
it
he knew what
was
he was
dressed as a standard yard worker.
Oh yeah, that's what they like. That's what they're going for.
Jeans and a t-shirt. Nah, I mean,
Realism is in when it comes to sexual fetishes.
I think Pornhub agrees.
Pornhub agrees.
Pornhub agrees. So back to Jacob's Ladder. Before we
Back to Ghost.
Before
Back
we,
to Ghost.
Yeah,
Wait.
Ghost. Oh,
If you were raped by a ghost, is it rape?
Yes.
It's not consensual, right?
It is, but you're gonna have a real tough time proving it in a court of
But
law.
what if their genitalia is like ethereal?
I mean, they're not gonna be able to administer a rape kit for ghost semen.
So you're
Maybe they
innocent.
leave ectoplasm. I don't know. I don't.
Ectoplasm.
This isn't what I got my fucking degree in, man. I don't know. So Ghost, another film written by Bruce Joel Rubin, that has to deal with the afterlife.
Sure. And so, let's just go into Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah. Directed by Adrian Lynn, and produced by Alan Marshall as well.
Yeah, and what else did Adrian Lynn do? Did he do anything else?
So the director, Jacob Lynn, also directed such cult classics as Fatal Attraction, Lolita, Indecent Proposal, to name three of the biggest ones.
Oh yeah, I love Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction's a fantastic film.
Sure.
Borderline, Far Out. Maybe we'll do it one day.
So for Jacob's Ladder, when they were casting this movie, they ended up going with Tim Robbins for the main character.
Correct, but there were a number of other proposed leads.
Sure. Some of the other guys they were thinking about casting were Dustin Hoffman, Richard Gere, Al Pacino,
Tom Hanks.
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke turned it down. It was a hard
He
no.
did turn it down.
Hard no from his
I will
camp.
say, I really like Mickey Rourke.
I like Mickey Rourke too. I like him more now that he's a plastic surgery monster. But
It's terrifying. It really
it's
is.
something else.
But it was perfect in like The Wrestler. Did you see The Wrestler?
Fuck no. But I
dude.
feel like I should have.
You
because
should have, because it's awesome. And I just like Mickey Rourke a lot.
But
But he turned it down. He turned it, which was a fucking terrible move, honestly.
for sure. I mean, this is, in my opinion, one of kind of like the more revered far out flicks from the 90s.
Exactly. It's a cult classic.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
by
got a huge
definition.
following. I mean,
Timothy Robbins was great in this role, though. So, Timothy Robbins, if you don't know, he's the lead of the Shawshank Redemption.
if you don't know anything.
Yeah. And he's kind of... Okay, so the motherfucker is 6'7".
No, he's 7'6". Tell the audience
He's a
he's
giant.
6'7".
He's literally a giant human.
From one tall person to another, he'd tower over me. I mean, like, this is a big man.
But he kind of has an everyman like feel about him.
Very
wouldn't you say?
boyish, maybe.
He's not
Young.
exactly. He's not a movie star. Like Tom Cruise wouldn't have done well in this role. You know what I mean? Like it helped that he was an everyman, and it's kind of surprising that he was even like a popular male lead of that time. But
Well, he
he
had
does
some
such
hits.
a good job.
Also, like, male leads then didn't have to be like as sexy as they do now. Like male leads now, like if you're a male lead, even if you're fucking Dan Stevens and you're like a genre actor in horror in like the first season of Downton Abbey or whatever, like you gotta be cut, you gotta be like mostly hairless. I mean, and by mostly I mean like nothing more than beard hair and head hair, and everything else must be obliterated.
Pretty much, yeah. Tim Robbins was perfectly cast. I think he did better than maybe all of those other actors. I do think Mickey Rourke would have done good.
Tom Hanks would have been interesting.
Tom Hanks would have been. It would have changed the tone of the film, though. It just
What
would
if he
have.
rose to the occasion? Tom Hanks does less Tom Hanksy films, like Cloud Atlas, a future installment of this
okay.
series.
Tom Hanks is a little bit of a character actor in the sense of like his character is
He was
Tom Hanks.
He was Captain Phillips.
That's true. Tom Hanks is great.
Tom Hanks is great.
So, and it's Tim Robbins. It's Tim Robbins. It's Tim Robbins across from this female actress, Elizabeth Pena.
Who plays the role of Jezzy, short for Jezebel.
Who's his girlfriend? Actresses they were considering for that role were Jennifer Lopez, Madonna, Demi Moore, and Julia Roberts.
There were over 300 actresses that were considered for the leading role.
That's crazy, and they ended
That's
up
a shit ton.
and they ended up going with Elizabeth Pena, who was the first actress they auditioned. She was number 1 out of all 300.
I didn't know that. That's fascinating.
And she is a sexy Cuban.
Also, R.I.P. to Elizabeth Pena. She is no longer with us.
Oh no! It's always sad when someone attractive dies.
It is. Although, I mean, we all grow old. You know, if you're fortunate enough to grow old, you're not going to be attractive anymore. Maybe. I mean, Christy Brinkley is still a super babe, but
There's a few. There's I also like Emmylou Harris. She could be probably a grandma. I still think she's hot.
So, Jacob's Ladder spent several years in production limbo before being made, as you often find is the case with kind of films more on the fringe. Some of the other directors that have been considered, the big one in my opinion is Ridley Scott. Ridley.
He would have done well. He definitely would have done a good movie, I think.
I think so too. But you know, in like the alternate universe where Ridley Scott made this movie, does he make Gladiator? Does he ever revisit the Alien series and make Prometheus and then Alien Covenant?
Was Prometheus, were those good though?
I like Prometheus a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a little bit divisive.
It is.
I know it is.
But I'm willing to defend that point.
I want to watch it.
Challenge me, internet nerds.
The original, the original Alien is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, Alien 1 is the perfect sci-fi horror fusion, other than maybe The Thing, in my opinion. But it's a very different tone. Aliens is a fun James Cameron-y action twist to it, but still good.
Still great.
From there, every Alien installment is like a take it or leave it on an individual
We're
basis.
gonna have to do a whole episode about Alien because I was reading this
Maybe
article.
like a 3-parter. I don't know.
There was some super fascinating things where, like, for Alien 3, they were thinking about making like a giant wooden planet. A planet entirely made out of wood, inhabited by only monks. And the alien goes there. Like, the fucking... Some of the stuff about the history of the Alien series is amazing.
One final fun fact that I'll share with the audience. The role of Sigourney Weaver's Ripley in Alien was intentionally left gender ambiguous when they wrote the script, which is fucking awesome because it, like, I'm pretty sure it passes the Bechdel test, which we've talked about in prior episodes. But it is one of the best examples of a female role or female lead character not conforming to any gender norms whatsoever.
No, she was...
Other than liking cats, maybe. If you're a
cats?
Cat. She's got the cat. Remember in Alien?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's
cat
a little bit of
lady.
a stereotype.
But other than that, basically entirely devoid of it, and it's an awesome movie. And Ridley Scott did a great job. And if you haven't seen that, I don't know why you're listening to us. Watch Alien immediately. So
back to our film, Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
So let's just dive right in. I'll just summarize what's going on here. In Jacob's Ladder, the main character, Jacob Singer, as played by Tim Robbins, is a Vietnam War vet. And the whole movie opens up where he's in Vietnam, he's chilling with his buddies, they're all smoking a joint.
Smoking a little grass.
They're all getting that 60s psychedelic, let's hang out and fucking You know, you've
There's a
seen
come jerk me off joke. I wish I had a pair of tweezers or whatever.
exactly.
What
They're
a sick,
shooting
what
the
a
shit.
sick burn.
It's a little bit contrived, but next thing you know, after they're all fucked up and they smoke this joint, fucking helicopters start shooting at them, and they all fucking have to Have you ever been in this kind of situation?
No,
where,
I have never seen active
not
combat.
not
and,
active combat,
helicopters
but have you
fired
ever?
down on me.
I know for a fact we used to work at a bar together.
We did, correct.
There was a time when we smoked a blunt.
Or two.
Vividly, well, there were many times when we smoked a blunt.
Multiple.
There was vividly one time where we were like, oh, Sunday blunt day, and we all fucking smoked a blunt. We got pretty blazed.
We got
and the next thing you know, fucking all these orders come in, like 20. The whole, and like we literally, like it was like being at war.
Working
like,
at Murphy's was our nom, is basically
if
what
you've
you're
worked
saying.
in a restaurant, you know, maybe it's not life or death, but you know the struggle a little bit.
Especially when you're so lit you couldn't tie your shoes.
Dude, we were all like bumping into each other. It was like the opposite of a well-oiled machine. Like no one knew what to do. We all just froze. Nothing got done.
People got angry.
Luckily,
Luckily, our employer was nowhere to be found.
And luckily we weren't in Vietnam. Luckily, because that's what happens in this movie. Shit goes down real quick. All of a sudden, they're all scrambling, like, oh, I'm high as hell. How do I use this gun? Type shit.
Again, there's people, like, seizing out. There's, like, one dude just kind of, like, sitting Indian style. Can I say Indian style?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Pretzel style.
As long as you mean Native American style.
Correct. Would that, like,
well,
in and of
technically,
itself is
the
wrong.
Indians are the ones who invented the lotus position. I don't know.
Is that what it's called? The lotus position?
Well, that's when both of your ankles are on top of your thighs.
Ah, advanced.
That's advanced Indian position.
Pretzel position.
There you go.
I think that's right. Anyways, there's like one dude sitting there looking like Private Pile, you know. Just
Yeah, he's
watching.
looking a little bit like, what's that movie called? Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, Private Pile.
He doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah, the dude they give the,
Oh yeah,
the
of
soap bar
course,
party
man.
to.
That's like the fucking...
Blanket party.
That scene will always stick with me.
Well,
Forever.
it's like a solid, like, 6 of the movie,
It's
so...
no, it's the first half of the movie is
Yeah.
all of that guy's story. And Private Joker. But anyway, continuing.
Continuing on, so that all hell's broken loose. People are getting blown to pieces. People are shooting. So people are getting real weirded out. And our main character, Mr. Tim Robbins, wanders off into the woods.
That's not good.
It's
When
never a
you're
good
fucking in a battle, don't wander off by yourself.
No, that's a good way to die somehow or another.
It's a good way to die. So then, basically, I would say then the movie cuts forward.
Which, by the way, Tim Robbins' character's name is Jacob, which I don't.
Jacob Singer. Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah. Who would? Ooh.
And then, so the film cuts forward. He's got a girlfriend. He's kind of
Wait,
just...
no, he gets stabbed. Remember, he gets bayoneted.
Oh.
Before.
Go back.
Rewind.
So he walks into the woods by himself, and then he just suddenly gets bayoneted by this motherfucker.
Unforeseen attacker.
Exactly. You don't even see the guy. He's just lying on the ground dying. And then flash forward to the future.
Or he wakes up if it's a dream. We don't know. We don't know what's going on.
No one knows at this point. Flash forward to the future. He's living a normal life, apparently. He's got a fucking sexy ass Cuban girlfriend. And he's a mailman.
Correct. And we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. When he flashes forwards, he's in a subway. And he sees like a subway passenger with what looks like a tentacle of some sort protruding.
Good call, because
And
this is important.
It is important. And he tries to get out of the subway out of one exit, and they've chained it up. They've chained the gates up at that exit.
That does seem like a fear, because it looks... Where is he supposed to be? It looks like fucking New York City.
It does look like New York
And I
City.
wouldn't want to get trapped in that subway overnight.
No, I imagine
It seems like a primal fear that anyone would have.
So, kind of like the story or the screenplay was based off of a dream that Mr. Rubin had involving being trapped in a subway. So this scene is like particularly important to kind of like the source material for
Sure.
the screenplay. Also worth noting, there was a scene that was edited out with Jacob walking into a subway bathroom and a man getting savagely raped in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's subtracted from the film.
Actually, I saw that in the documentary and it wasn't in the film.
Yeah.
That's true.
They had the scene in the doc.
He was like, "What are you looking at?" Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, for sure. It was fucking.
You want some too, buddy?
Yeah, it was. It was terrifying. Put that in the fucking intro audio. But yeah, no, it's a fucked up. So basically, all the best scenes got cut out of this film.
Yeah.
Long story short, it's still worth watching. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not all the best scenes, but I would like to see the scenes that were cut out.
Yeah,
very
we
much.
want that Deliverance shit. If you cut out that one scene from Deliverance, that movie is totally just forgettable.
It'd be a lot of commitment of hours for some dudes sucking it, fucking floating down a river. But
No one's gonna watch that movie.
No one's gonna watch
It's
that.
famous for that one scene. Basically.
it is famous for that one scene, for better or for worse.
And the scene with the banjo, fucking the inbred banjo guy. On the bridge.
He does the dueling banjos.
Classic.
Although there's only one banjo, so it's not really dueling banjos.
So,
Anyways.
he's trapped on the subway. He can't get out. I mean, this brings me into my next point. Do mole people exist? And do they live in the subways?
Some
But-
regular chuds.
I'm just saying, like, in my mind, there are mole people who live in those subway systems, and they're
Well,
not-
I can't remember
they're
the
not
name.
subterranean mutants per se, but like they're a few more generations than they will.
There
be.
was like a famous porn star, like in recent history, famous porn star who was recently found living in the tunnels underneath Las Vegas, and I wish I knew her name, but she was like an AVN award winner, and she is looking very rough these days. We hope the best for everybody, you know, and if your best is living in abandoned tunnels under major metropolis areas in the desert, so be it. We
Hey,
support
off
that.
the grid living, I fully support it.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll have to do some research later.
Yeah. Some research.
Find that tunnel porn.
Let me get my research lube out.
Hey man, if you haven't seen some raw tunnel porn,
Probably, yeah.
mole people shit.
But what I'm saying is, yeah, there's totally people that live in our nation's forgotten subterranean transportation routes. And
I have mad respect for those people because they're like the cockroaches of the human race.
Yeah.
Like, say an atomic bomb goes off. Who's gonna fucking survive? The subterranean mole people.
I hope that's a perk of living underground.
That's
And
like
you
one
don't
of the
just
few
die,
perks.
or just the tunnels collapse and you die in the process, and you just were a mole person.
We're making
forever.
our tunnels pretty good these days. I think-
These are abandoned tunnels. We're not talking about recently engineered tunnels.
I mean,
I'm all right.
life is dangerous. You
I'm
can
not
get
gonna
killed.
be. I'm not gonna be a worrywart.
You can get hit by a car tomorrow, man. There's no cars in those tunnels.
If your best life is living in a tunnel, you do it, and maybe you'll be laughing at us all when nuclear Armageddon rains down.
Fucking, I would love to live in a tunnel. Every day I have to go in the real world, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah, fuck the sun beating down on your precious
Sun beating down.
pupils.
Human interaction. All
Ugh.
fucking commerce. Capitalism. Let's be subterranean mutants.
I feel like our craft beer selection is going to go down pretty hard once we commit to living in the tunnel.
They'll deliver.
So, anyways, the tunnel scene, you can't get out of the tunnel. Possibly symbolic, who knows?
Oh.
But basically then from there enters Jesse, He's back at their apartment. They're making some very vanilla but passionate love. Uh,
And you see her tits.
you see some boobs. We get boobs pretty early on. And again, she's a hot tamale. Uh,
That's racist.
oh, god damn it, it is. I didn't even mean it like that. Edit.
I don't know if they eat tamales in Cuba. Who cares? But anyway,
She's
they're
Cuban.
fucking. Everything's good. He's a mailman. Pretty carefree dude, other than the violent flashbacks. The violent war LSD flashbacks he keeps experiencing.
And,
In one of the first scenes, I think he wakes up from like a terrible dream.
he had a dream about his ex-wife.
Oh, if that happens, definitely don't share with your girlfriend.
No, that's such a
Rookie mistake.
Stupid move. If you, for people who don't know anything about relationships, if you have a dream, and dreams aren't really in your control unless you're a lucid dreamer, but if you have a dream about a significant other, you shouldn't immediately proceed to tell your significant other lying in bed with you about said dream.
If you have a
past
significant
lover.
other, don't share anything
Mm-mm.
personal with them.
No. Why would you want them to know the real you?
Exactly.
It's a fucking bad
Terrible
idea.
mistake.
Bad idea. Bad. But he wakes up, he recalls his dream to Jezzy. She dumps some pictures on the bed. I don't know. His family sent it to him. It was a bunch of childhood pictures of him, childhood pictures of one of his boys. He's got 3 sons, it's revealed shortly, with his ex-wife. And he starts crying when he sees a photo of an uncredited Macaulay Culkin, his youngest son, Gabe.
Oh yeah, you know this was early in his career. Otherwise, they would have been.
Oh yeah,
He would have been heavily credited.
This is pre-Richie Rich. This is pre-Home Alone. He's a nobody, but
He's Michael Jackson. He's still fucking unmolested.
he has not been defiled yet.
What's your view on Michael Jackson?
My view on Michael Jackson is that his estate will probably sue us if I say anything other than he was an upstanding citizen. And I would like to point that there are a lot of people that do claim, who were close to him, that he was nothing but benevolent and kind and unpredatory. But
Sure, I mean the grooming stage can last many years.
yeah, just ask Drake. That grooming motherfucker. But anyways, young Macaulay Culkin, he sees a picture of him and it brings a tear to Jacob's eye, and Jezzy gets kind of like bent out of shape. She also sees a picture of him and his ex-wife, and she makes this look that like every man who's ever been in a relationship and had like a relationship prior. If it's your first girlfriend, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
She sees the picture of his ex-wife and her eyes kind of get big.
Oh,
she
yeah.
rolls them a little bit.
They turn into saucers, man, wide open. And you just know that's going to be a discussion later.
Well, yeah.
And by discussion, I mean argument.
Multiple arguments over probably the rest of your life.
or your time with said significant other. But he sees a photo of his youngest son, Gabe Macaulay, and a tear sheds from his face, and she's like, I don't like things that make you cry. And it flashes forwards to her dumping the bag of photos into an incinerator somewhere, or furnace, or I don't know.
A little bit bitchy. I mean, fucking, those are his kids.
And we get a shot of the photo of him and his ex-wife burning. Yeah, so shortly after this, there's some like filler scenes, showing him doing his mailman thing. He brings some coffee to his girlfriend, who also works at the postal office.
All the girls like this guy. The girls on the street are all.
Oh, the girls on the street sing him a song. I mean, and he plays it so cool, so fucking chill. Like women just do it all the time. A group of women on the street breaking to his song, basically filleting his good looks and how they want to have their way with him.
Yeah, since when have you seen a post office worker get that kind of fucking action?
And again, Tim Robbins not a bad looking man, but I just like.
He's an everyman. He
I
just
just
looks
don't think
like...
that that's a realistic situation, and that's like my major gripe with the film.
Yeah, I mean,
That's it. That's my only gripe with the film. Other than
I think when you're 6'7", it's just easier.
Probably. I mean, I'm close. I'm like tickling the bottom of that.
You're
Like,
getting there.
yeah,
Well,
I'm still growing. Sure, at 31, I've got several inches. To
I
go.
eat my veggies.
Yeah. I'm still getting taller by the day.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
So there's some filler scenes, some post office bullshit that nobody really cares about, could do with or without. And they end up at a party. And one, the tunes at this party are some shit that I would get down with today.
The music. They only play like popular music at the beginning of the movie, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But fucking, they're playing. What are they playing? Lady Marmalade.
Yeah, that's exactly what
They're playing some funky old school shit, which I get down with.
Yeah, it's a good dancing tune.
And then everyone's dancing. Him and his girlfriend get separated a little bit. She's dancing with some guys. He's dancing with some girls. They're all cool. It's
like a borderline swinger party.
Yeah, they're chill. They're pretty chill. But so when he's at this party, he gets his palm read by this fucking weird woman who's just reading palms.
Who is also throwing herself at him. I mean, again, Tim Robbins knocking it out of the park.
I mean, that's the only reason anyone learns palm reading is to get laid.
Or make, $20 a read or whatever they charge.
One of my good buddies, he does tarot cards.
Oh, nice.
And I would call that an alternative mating strategy in the sense of that shit works, man. Fucking spout off some bullshit about astrology, tarot cards, fortunes.
I'm just not willing to debase myself to that level to get laid.
I mean, I'm sure you bullshit in other ways.
I do, but
So
I don't stoop to dealing cards out and pretending like that has any kind of real meaning to a human's personality or existence or future.
Well, I think that if you can do that, you have some esoteric knowledge, kind of like a religious cult leader or something. Like, people automatically are drawn to that mystical knowledge, you know what I'm saying? It works.
I'm gonna order a deck of tarot cards off Amazon.
And then just make shit up. Just be like, oh, flip the card over.
How many of them do you think just make it up as they go? I mean, like,
imagine, just think of it this way. If you make it up as you go, you could be like, oh, you liked someone, but now you don't like them anymore. Flip over the next one and be like, someone has recently come into your life who's going to be a major figure and is going to help you with all of your desires.
The cards say to trust tall, bald strangers with cards willing to tell you what your future holds.
Exactly. Look into the light that's reflecting off that
trust
forehead.
Trust them with your bed.
It works, man.
All right.
Ask my friend Robert.
All right, we'll get Robert on the show, get his 2 cents, and see if he can convert me to be a tarot card supporter, believer. So, anyways, he gets his fortune read. The lady makes a comment that, according to his palms, is already dead. Some other comments here, there, or whatever. But he returns to the dance floor and like starts getting weird, man.
This is when shit really first gets weird in this movie. Like, some shit goes down.
Weird. Other than people.
James Brown is playing. Some funky ass James Brown. And then all of a sudden everything gets a little bit psychedelic and weird and scary. And you don't ever see the full demon. But you can just like see a tail like in between some feet. And
some other appendages maybe,
exactly.
Like cuts of them.
And then all of a sudden, like, you see the girlfriend dancing with the demon, but then, like, in some cuts, she's just getting fucked from behind by the demon.
She's outright getting fucked by the demon.
And these are, like, lizardy demons with tails.
Yeah, and I mean, she is, A, loving it, and B, it awoke something dark in me watching that scene earlier.
Hell yeah. It made me fucking...
I didn't know that needed to be...
Googled.
but I made a little note in my handbook for later. But yeah, she's getting railed out by a demon. He starts getting real weird at this point, screaming. Something that's really worth noting is that all of the effects of this film were filmed live with the camera rolling, so that there were no post-production edits, there was no CGI, there was no like post-scene practical effects.
Just really kind of an achievement.
It's a huge achievement, and it shows because the special effects scenes are very seamless.
Absolutely.
With like the live action stuff, and I mean, to this day, I cannot think of a better example of a demon fucking a woman in modern cinema.
No, it was very well done. It was kind of done in the
artistic.
It was in the Ridley Scott style, in the sense of they show you just enough to like make you on edge.
Oh,
they
yeah.
never fully reveal the
Edging.
fucking rubber costume. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, you see some tentacles.
A lot of suspense builds up during these scenes.
You guys know how much we love tentacles here.
Love them.
But anyways, it climaxes with him like seeing her get impaled through the mouth with like a fucking demon horn or claw or something.
Yeah.
And then he like screams and falls on the ground, and
then he's surrounded by people like wondering what the fuck's wrong with him.
Yeah, he's spazzing.
That has happened to me before.
Sure.
I'm sure it's happened to all of us.
Yeah. You get weird. Sometimes you get a little too weird, and you end up on the ground with a bunch of people staring down at you.
And then they're escorting you out, and the cops come, and whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Maybe your wallet gets stolen in the process. I don't know. So after that, they wake up back at the apartment, and she's like, "I've never been so mortified in my life." You know?
Yeah, she was acting like kind of a bitch.
What a fucking dick girlfriend thing to say. Like, you collapsed and fainted at a party, and she's just mortified.
He's got PTSD.
They're past calling it shell shocked, but they haven't started calling it PTSD yet.
Exactly.
So at that point,
what do they call it?
Nothing. They're just loser hippies who didn't win a war. Is what the popular opinion at the time was.
Still my opinion to this day.
Yeah. Jeez, guys, way to break up a perfect record.
Yeah, we were gonna
just kidding. Korea did it first.
We were gonna spread freedom, and then these motherfuckers came along.
Man, that's so insensitive to veterans. No, the Vietnam War is a tragedy. We have deep sympathy for anybody who's going through any kind of mental anguish.
Yeah, the American government fucked you.
Listen here, G-Man.
That's what this movie's about.
Listen here, G-Man. Don't listen to him. I am a flag-toting, American-loving citizen. But she's like real upset. He's got a thermometer in his mouth. She takes the thermometer out. He's boiling. Just like, very alarming temperature, like 103 or something.
She said it was all the way.
I don't actually know how to read old thermometers.
She said it was maxed out, so he was like dying.
Yeah, like 108 or something.
They throw him in the bathtub. The next thing you know, all the neighbors. Yeah, ice bath. All the neighbors are all surrounding him, trying to help him.
Dumping ice in. He's screaming. Ice baths are pretty uncomfortable, but he's having a real bad time of it.
He's not doing too well. He's begun his descent into madness and physical.
He passes out or whatever and wakes up, and he's with his ex-wife in their home with all three of their boys, and he tells her he had a dream that he was living with another woman, this woman from the post office. Which, again, what is this dude's deal with waking up and telling the woman beside him that he had a dream about another woman?
Never tells. Never. Dude, tell.
No, that dream needs to stay deep inside.
I'm not kidding.
Die with you.
Even if your dream had nothing to do with the women, nothing to do with them. Even if you were just hanging out with your friends from college or whatever, your girlfriend was there, and you better fucking say that.
She was not only there; she was glowing.
She was the main character.
She was radiant, and she was very clearly a positive force in your life, even in the dream.
Exactly, and that's why it was a dream, not reality.
We're both single. We can say that. Shout out to Braden. Recently single ladies. Send all of the attachments to our podcast website. All of them.
Listen, we're here. If you send nudes, yes, Andrew will see them. But that's just part of being business partners.
If you put in the subject line for Braden or Andrew solely, we'll honor it. We'll do it. We'll be good. We won't share. It'll be just for the intended recipient only.
Exactly. Just like you don't share who's in your fucking dreams.
Just like you don't share who's in your fucking dreams. All
right.
Braden, on point.
Moving on. So, he's all fucked up.
Yeah,
he's sick. He goes to the hospital, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
He has a dream with his ex-wife, or I don't know, dream. He flashes into a reality with his ex-wife and his boys, and he says goodnight to his boys. Macaulay Culkin has his own fucking bed. The rest of the other two have to bunk bed. So like one,
fat, ugly kids have bunk beds.
With their dirty brown hair and their not blue perfect Macaulay Culkin eyes.
Freckles, and then there's little perfect Macaulay Culkin. That's probably how the beds were set up in Michael Jackson's house too. I'm sure he had his own room.
You don't think he just had a big California king to have all the kids on at once? You think he had a bunch of bunk beds, man? I don't think he had a bunch of bunk beds. He's got a big old fuck pad.
Oh god!
Big enough.
That's messed up.
Big
man.
enough to load a whole school bus.
I watched the HBO Michael Jackson documentary, and that like scarred me for life.
When did it come out? How recent?
Like a year or two ago.
Oh, so I saw the most recent.
Probably 2 years ago. God no! Oh, it's messed up. He was into some messed up things.
He was traumatized and like maybe
he
castrated.
liked little boys to bend over and he would just stare at their assholes while he jerked off.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you.
Is that confirmed or is that just salacious rumors?
No, that is fucking the testimony of someone who said it happened to them.
Well, I do want to always believe the accusers, even though Thriller is one of my favorite albums of all time.
No, I can't even listen to it. I mean, I can, and I'll still, like, move my body or whatever.
It's really good. But yeah, fuck pedophiles, it's terrible to hear. I wish I didn't know that. Thanks for...
He was probably victimized himself, so, what point in the timeline, it's a chicken and the egg, right?
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
So he has the dream, or existence, whatever you want to call it, with the ex-wife and the boys, and all of them are present. And then he basically like flashes back. Brain. He flashes back to Vietnam. It's just like a quick cut, though. I mean, we're not seeing a ton more action. It's like a cut of him being discovered by other American soldiers and like, oh, this one's still alive. So presumably, after he was bayoneted from the opening sequence.
Exactly. So he was kind of living, that dream was like an alternate reality. Flashback to Vietnam. Now we're back to the main timeline, right?
Yep. So we flash back. He's contacted by one of his platoon mates, Paul, the dude who was sitting fucking pretzel style, looking like Private Pile, watching the mayhem happen, who reveals that he's suffering from very, very similar hallucinations.
Flashbacks, man.
Flashbacks.
Do you know any like acid casualties or anything like that?
Like as a statistic, or
no, like personally?
I'm sure I've heard some over the years, but I feel like you might have one you want to share with us.
Well, not really, but I know a few people who like basically. So, spoiler alert. like, I don't know how to say this, but I don't. It's kind of the reveal at the end, but
Don't do it. Don't
Okay.
fucking do it. We're too...
Well, we can go say it at the end.
Yeah.
Say it at the end. Where were you? Where were we?
So Paul, a former platoon mate, contacts him to reveal that he's suffering from kind of like a similar set of hallucinations or experiences. They like meet up in this boxing gym. And he tells him, and again, this is a dude who is sitting pretzel style, private pile, fucking just
Watching the whole thing, just fucking moving back and forth like he's got the tism.
Like he's got the tism. Tis to help. But he... So after they meet and his platoon mate Paul tells him that he's kind of going through the same shit, they go outside. He bends over to pick up a quarter, and his friend Paul starts his car. The quarter jumps away, and then the car explodes like some Godfather shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it blows up, and some unknown man kind of like pulls Jacob away from the explosion, from the carnage. So at the wake of Paul, he reconnects with some of his other former platoon mates, one of which played by Ving Rhames. There we go. One of which played by Ving Rhames.
Who's that?
It's the one who was talking about him.
I'm not sure I'm familiar with that actor.
You would know Ving Rhames if you saw him.
Oh, okay.
He's a big dude. But
he's the one who was talking. Yeah, okay.
You're talking about him jerking him off in the opening scene.
Oh yeah.
But they start talking, and all of them kind of seem to be kind of going through the same thing. You know, there's one foil who's like, "You guys are loopy or whatever," you know.
He just didn't take enough.
or he's in deep denial about the whole experience.
Or he's a fucking plant.
So after kind of like discussing their similarities, they contact a lawyer and hire him, played by Jason Alexander.
Oh yeah.
Which just can't help but see nothing but Seinfeld,
yep.
even with his comb over in this film.
Even with hair.
And basically, he alludes to that they might have a class action lawsuit on their hands, which could be very, very financially
against the government for putting them in some fucked up situation.
Mm-hmm. So once they kind of like disperse from there, Jacob gets abducted by some like G-men, kind of like, you know, men in black suits kind of thing, to throw him in a old Lincoln Continental, and start hauling ass off, and they kind of like confront him about, you know, what he's been talking about with the other people, and how, you know, that was all in another life, and they should put it behind them.
That's what they always say.
Yeah. So he resists. He fights against them. Kind of like manages to actually kind of beat the shit out of the two dudes.
I'd fight them too, man. I'm not getting abducted by the CIA.
Well, they're just trying to intimidate you into shutting your fucking mouth, so you could just like go that route and not get the shit.
Not get assassinated.
Not get suicided with two bullets to the back of the head. But so he fights them. Eventually he gets thrown out of a vehicle after we watch a very, very pristine Lincoln Continental crash into like dozens of cars. He gets thrown out in this like, is it Samaritan's Purse? The people who do the Santa Claus.
Sounds right. Yeah, something like that.
It's either Samaritan's Purse or some other nonprofit, but Santa Claus comes up and fucking steals his wallet. As he's lying there.
Never trust a Santa Claus.
Losing consciousness.
One of my good buddies is a professional Santa Claus.
How old is this good buddy?
He's in his probably early 50s.
Oh, okay. Alright.
And
age appropriate.
Good friend. Actually, he was the drummer of the Booty Slappers.
Oh, great band. Check him out on Spotify.
Check him out. And yeah, he's a crazy motherfucker. I don't think he would steal anyone's wallet. He might fucking put a little nug in your wallet for later.
That's a very generous Santa.
He's got the Christmas spirit.
'Tis the season of giving. So, anyways, post being ejected from the vehicle and having his wallet snatched by a sketchy Santa, he's getting wheeled into this hospital, and this is where shit starts to get like real nightmarish. Like the hospital's got like a cage ceiling, and there's all these deformed people.
Oh, that part's fucked up.
Yeah, like there's like a baby sucking on a woman's titty at one point.
Oh yeah, and like some deformed people.
Yeah.
People in straitjackets. This is kind of the disturbing scene of the movie, I would say.
It is. In the original screenplay, there was a lot more religious imagery for kind of like these demons or whatever that Jacob's seeing. It was nixed by Adrian Lynn because he thought that it'd be like too laughable.
Yeah.
So
freaks are scarier.
So
They
yeah,
just are.
he thought it would be
Body horror, you know, and
it is body horror, but he thought it would be better to make the demons more human and really like dialed into the thalidomide cases of the 1950s,
right.
which thalidomide was a morning sickness drug prescribed for women during pregnancy to minimize morning sickness symptoms that resulted in people being born with flippers for arms.
Well, that's terrifying.
It is. Is that due to Google? It's why we have drug testing now.
It reminds me of this Kurt Vonnegut book, Galapagos.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
Where like the whole narrative is told from the point of view of a seal creature from the future
Mm-hmm.
is evolved from humans.
It's the same thing, but instead of evolution, we were pumping untested chemicals into pregnant women, and it made their babies come out without arms.
Well, there have been tons of cases of the United States government doing this against its own citizens for like the last 100 years.
For sure, but this was commercial, so it was just like average citizens taking this in mass at that. I mean, there's a whole wave of children born with horrific genetic deformities.
That's messed up.
It is. Thalidomide. Billy Joel sings about it, and We Didn't Light the Fire.
Interesting.
There's a lyric in there about it. Anyways, so he's getting wheeled into the hospital, and it's pretty gruesome. I mean, they're like the stretchers he's on is rolling over severed body parts on the ground.
Looks like a prison hospital or something.
Yeah, and
there's like deranged, violently.
Yeah, like a fucking Turkish prison hospital. Like,
yeah.
Not good.
Not good. Don't want to go there.
No, bad things happen there. There's a scene with like a legless hooded man with his head twitching out, and we kind of saw a similar effect. Again, all made by the camera shoot the day of. So that was made by like oscillating the camera as the person twitched their head
and
around.
Then speeding it up, huh?
Yeah, and I mean it's like I think that the tape rolled slower too, significantly.
Commonly used effect in horror movies.
Yeah. I mean, like anytime you can think of like somebody getting possessed or whatever, like shaking their head, going wild.
Oh yeah.
But this was the pioneer film for that effect, which is worth noting, and it's pretty creepy. The hooded individual.
It's creepy. There's a lot of people with like, they're human, but their faces are all deformed or obscured by some weird spandex or something. There's some weird shit going on with these hooded creatures.
So while in the hospital, they put the fucking skull screws to him and they wheel him back. And the Jezzy is a nurse in this hospital, and one of the doctors or male nurses, whatever. Fucked up that I even said that. Had to quantify that. He basically tells him that, like, you're dead. You're home. This is your home. You're dead. And, he obviously doesn't respond particularly well to that information, freaks out, and it, like, eventually flashes forward, and his ex-wife and two of his kids are present in the hospital, and they tell him it'll be a month before he can, like, recover. And at this point, a key character we didn't mention earlier, after the wife and children are gone, a key character we did mention earlier, his chiropractor bursts in, Lewis. Lewis is this kind of like wise, friendly chiropractor that's giving him life advice earlier as he adjusts his spine. and he like freaks out on the hospital staff, like threatens to hit him with a crutch, says that what they're doing is like medieval, and basically rescues him, wheels him out.
The chiropractor is like his only friend in this movie,
Mhm.
and it's almost like his therapist.
He's got some real like kind of angelic shots with like lights behind him. You know, it kind of gives like the holy image. You know,
There's a whole biblical allegory happening here, and I think the Jacob's ladder is a thing that's from the Bible.
we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So
Do your own research about that part.
Yeah, that's not on us. We're not doing that shit. Well, we are going to do that shit for just a very brief moment, because it is a direct quote from the film and didn't take a ton of research. But basically, after he's been rescued by the chiropractor, he's resetting his back, and he's going to make him better. He's got a slip disc or whatever. But he asks him if he's ever read any Meister Eckhart. To which Jacob says no, and he basically shares this quote that I'm about to read to you. Eckhart saw hell too. He said, "The only thing that burns in hell is the part of you that won't let go of life. Your memories, your attachments. They burn them all away, but they're not punishing you," he said. "They're freeing your soul. So if you're frightened of dying and you're holding on, you'll see devils tearing your life away. But if you've made your peace, then the devils are really angels freeing you from the earth."
Damn, that's deep. I think that goes directly into the writer's experience of the monastery. There's a lot of Buddhist kind of philosophy in that quote.
Absolutely, and this film draws a lot of inspiration from the Tibetan Book of the Dead as well.
Ah, very interesting.
So, anyways, he resets his back. I guess something we missed actually right before the abduction. Just to rewind real quick.
Rewind.
Jason Alexander, the lawyer that they had contacted, basically tells them they don't have a case and drops it, and it really pisses Tim Robbins off.
Oh, motherfucker.
Yep. Almost as if he has been intimidated by the G-men. So after his back's reset by this like angelic cherub doctor, and Jacob even says you look like a overgrown cherub earlier in the film. Jacob's at home and he gets a phone call from a man claiming to work or have worked in the past for the United States Army as a chemist in Saigon, and they need to talk. So they meet up. The guy kind of like conveys to him that he'd been busted cooking LSD, not cooking, that's not the right word, but synthesizing LSD, and basically was looking at 20 years, and the U.S. Army gave him an option to come to Saigon, work in a lab, make some crazy drugs, and he won't see any more time in jail. And while there, he and other chemists synthesized what they ended up calling the ladder. Get it? Jacob's ladder.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of similar to LSD, but instead of being kind of like a euphoric, sensory, enlightening experience, it just tapped into like all the like most negative, primal, violent aspects. So it was just like a aggression enhancer, basically.
Sure, and I don't think this is like a new concept. I'm pretty sure the Nazis invested a lot of time and resources into trying to figure out drugs that would make super soldiers, and
famously a lot of their soldiers and Hitler himself were on meth. That's what made the Blitzkrieg so successful, because their soldiers would be awake for 24 hours. But basically this chemist reveals to him that the violence from the start of the film was because the U.S. Army had decided to dose that one platoon, and basically instead of becoming super violent for a planned offensive, they all just went mad and turned on each other and just like became, like demonic in violence, like just absolutely ripping each other apart.
Yeah, it seems like they should have predicted this might be the result. Considering in the test trials, they said they gave it to monkeys and they just bashed each other's skulls in.
Gouged their eyes out, chewed tails off.
And then I think they said they gave it to other humans.
Well, yeah, they gave it to the Viet Cong first.
And they also just fucking killed, just went into a berserker rage and killed everyone.
Exactly. Um, so, Tim Robbins is struggling to process this information. Um, you know, his life is a lie. It's probably a sentiment many vets have had, and it's a popular conspiracy theory that many of our Vietnam veterans were tested, had chemicals tested upon them.
Well, some of it's been proven and is like a historical record
Yep.
that the U.S. government has done this. The Tuskegee experiments, and there's
Edgewood.
others. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Well,
It happens continuously. That's just the ones they've like been caught.
yeah, somebody slipped
They have
the
to
file
admit, And
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact is, in the Vietnam War, there was a lot of chemical warfare. Agent Orange and all that shit. Like, that's some crazy fucking dangerous chemicals.
out. It is, absolutely. So Tim Robbins, Jacob is struggling with this kind of realization. Understandably so. But basically, he kind of goes through like a little like I don't know presumed slump, and he ends up turning up back at his familial home of his ex-wife. And when he gets there, it's like abandoned. It's like it sounds like it's fucking raining inside the building. But he basically like sits on a couch until daybreak, and when like the dawn breaks, he sees his son Gabe over on the staircase.
Looking a little bit angelic.
A little bit,
And
as
the scene's
Macaulay
kind of
Culkin
washed
does.
out. There's a heavenly glow. And the son says, "Come on, Dad, let's go up these stairs into the light." Which is clearly like that is his final waking millisecond of life. Goes towards the light. Presumably heaven. And then the next scene, they're in the military hospital tent. And there's medics who they've seen that he just died.
Yeah, the big reveal is
on the cot.
Is that all of this, all of what he's been experiencing has basically been the moments leading up to his death. When either, people say you see your life flash before your eyes, or you live an eternity before you die, or whatever. It's basically his mind or soul processing his life and where he is at now, which is at the end of his life, and I guess trying to kind of come to terms with it.
And the doctor's note, he put up a hell of a fight.
But he looks peaceful.
He looks peaceful. At the end, he comes to terms with it. And they had talked earlier in the movie about something along those lines.
Yeah, and man, I often wonder if all of 2020 is just my brain gasping for oxygen as it slowly bleeds out somewhere.
That's true. I think it'd have to have a lot of oxygen going into it to have this crazy of a dream, though.
Or it's just throwing whatever it can together. We don't know how brains work.
Hey, man. I mean, yeah, this is not a new idea.
No,
There's
not at all.
been, for thousands of years, humans have understood that a dream, you could live an entire lifetime in a dream. And it's been philosophized about, and I mean, I'd like to think that it's true because, I don't know, is this just another kind of religious dogma that is just is kind of rationally avoiding the ultimate death? You know what I mean? Like some hope that like, oh, I'm gonna live a whole nother life in my last milliseconds.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a desire to extend the living experience. Probably.
Well, obviously is, because that's what all the religions are about, So clearly there's some kind of mythological archetype where we don't want to die. We want the idea of an afterlife.
Well, for me, and it is stated later in the film, and we kind of glossed over it, but it is revealed that his youngest son, Macaulay Culkin, died before he went to the war.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's like very subtle, but it's in there. So, like, part of it for me, I think, is just like his brain, soul, whatever, like, I guess coming to terms with his death more so than like trying to extend life on. It's him processing what his existence was,
Sure.
and what it means now that he's at the end of it, and you know, basically all that affects.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, if the last moment is peaceful, I guess that's all you can hope for, really.
I mean, yeah, dude, he had a sweet dream where he had a hot girlfriend that got fucked by a demon, and there was a crazy government conspiracy that he was a part of, and like, you know, that's like fucking most of what I want out of life, man.
Hell yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
Be the hero of your own story and have a girlfriend who gets fucked by a demon.
She really gets fucked by that demon.
Oh yeah. She certainly does.
But so Jacob's Ladder, you know, take it for how you want. I think this one's pretty on the nose. We've done two that are pretty on the nose in a row. Fantastic Planet, last week's episode. If you haven't heard it, listen. In this one, you know, there's not a whole lot of room to misinterpret the ending.
A lot of cool visual imagery. It's definitely worth watching. The acting is really good.
Just Tim fucking Robbins,
The writing
man.
is good. Everything's good about it. Highly recommend it.
Highly.
I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, no, this is it's probably not going to go down in the books as the most far out film we've seen, but it's got some cool imagery, some cool camera tricks, some fairly heady ideas about life, reincarnation, existence, death, the moments leading up to death.
And it's dark. Like that, the scene where his girlfriend gets fucked by the monster, like that will stick with you. You don't want to hear about that every day unless you're me and you're on the hentai sites.
I was gonna say it's gonna stick with me until I almost fall asleep tonight. Well, guys, thank you again for joining us this week. We, as always, appreciate your listenership. We appreciate your likes, your subscriptions, your comments.
If you made it this far, you might as well go ahead and donate money. Like, we've clearly impacted your life.
Even though we have given you no clear route to donate us money. But we will. We will.
Cash is
in the
fine.
works.
Most of you know us. You know how to get in contact with us.
So, yeah, this is a big episode for us. Episode 5. We will be moving over to Spotify or Apple. Let us know which one you think we should do.
Whichever one gives us the better exclusive deal.
Yeah, because they're totally going to pay for our, 50 listeners.
You never know.
But we are starting this week, next week, going public.
I'm going to look into it anyway.
No, we're doing it. I've said it. It's here.
It's easily done.
It's
I can
here.
do it this
It's reality.
weekend.
We're doing
I can
it.
do it this weekend.
We're doing it. So, spread the word. If you have means of joining our Facebook group, Far Out Flicks, there's a lot of good discussion in there. We like to get input about what movies we're going to do in the future. What you think of the most recent episode. Do you have an aunt that's got a cool story about how she gave Adrian Lynn a hand job when they were filming this?
Yeah, whatever. If you got a cool story, even if it has nothing to do with any film, we'll share it here.
Yeah. And fan mail, something that we would like to do is fan mail. We would love to do a fan mail episode. So write us. Let us know. Let us know if you think we suck, if we're good.
Yeah, just send a Facebook message. We'll figure it out. We're
Slide
gonna set
into
up
the
that
DMs.
infrastructure.
See, I'm young. I'm cool.
Slide on into those DMs.
Slide.
Without a rubber.
Anyways, this has been Far Out Flicks. Thank you for joining us again this week. Jacob's Ladder, a lot of fun.
Catch you next time. Join the Far Out Flicks group and tell us what you want us to do next.
Tell us.
Alright.